Good morning. Welcome back to Rolling Hills Farm. Dave here. Well, it is chilly out this morning. We've had our first killing frost of the season. White frost all over the field. It's melted off this morning, but it makes a big change in our apple crop, which you can see we have a banner apple crop, and these apples are as sweet as they've ever been. And we've got a lot of them. So later today, we're picking apples to store for the winter. Dawn will be coring and freezing a bunch of them. Nature's bounty here on the farm. But in the meantime, it's time to get over to that field and get disking. This section I'm going through right now was old foundation and a buried rock pile. It didn't plow up very smoothly, but as I get more to the west, it'll smooth out a little bit. But this is really dry soil, and it is doing some crumbling, which is good. But I think this is going to take just a little bit of time. I'm down a gear from what we normally operate because I don't want to bang things around too much. Mostly I don't want to bang me around too much. But as we get over the top of this and start to knock the tops off these furrows, I'll gear up and we'll go a little faster. We've got a lot of disking to do to get that smoothed out. We want it smooth over the winter so that we can get in more quickly in the spring and seed oats. Oat totals, bushels per acre, really depend on how early you can get in. And in this climate, it's tough to get seeding before Mother's Day. Plowing and disking has been our preferred method of weed control for many years. Sitting open during the winter, the freeze-thaw cycle kills the weed seeds, allows the newly planted oats, our cash crop, to get started in the spring. Plowing turned up a lot of rocks in this field, and we're disking around some of them, marking them with flags so we can get them next spring with the skid steer before we finish disking and seed. On this field, it took about 4 passes with the disc, giving extra attention to the edges of the field and the dead furrow before the field was smooth enough that it could sit for the winter. But before that, we need to spread fertilizer. So now that the field is partially disked, we've got manure, some aged manure at the neighbor's house that we're going to haul and spread on the field before we disc in. We ended up hauling a lot of manure, over 12 tons per acre, which exceeds the NPK requirements for this soil, but it's organic, it's manure, so it'll be spread out over multiple seasons, growing seasons, and will hopefully help the fertility of this field for at least 3 years. Well, we've got just a little bit of manure left to spread. Neighbor Dave's bringing the last load or two, and I'm disking it in so that it's incorporated into the soil for the spring when we seed this. This field's still going to need some working up next spring. You can see there's some ridges and there's lots of rocks. So we'll be out here in the spring smoothing these high spots and low spots out, picking all the rocks, but at least the fertilizer will be down. It's applied at a pretty heavy rate. This was an old field that had been fertilized in a few years, taking quite a few crops of hay off of it, and it just has needed some soil amendments. Interestingly, the pH is fine here. Soil tests showed that the pH is 6.8, which is right on for the recommendations for mixed grass hay. So, but we definitely need not only potassium, phosphorus, nitrogen, but all the micronutrients, and this manure is really going to help with that, this heavy manure. And getting it disc in is really important too, so that it reduces any erosion or evaporation potential, although they say organic fertilizer, manure, doesn't really evaporate like commercial fertilizer does, the nitrogen. But I just as soon get it all mixed in with the soil, incorporated. And part of the reason is the smell. Well, it's the peak of fall colors, but look at the green of this winter rye. Up 6 inches or so. It's going to be an excellent crop next year. In the meantime, the deer are hitting it hard. But while I was out checking the rye, I made an unexpected and unwelcome discovery. Take a look at this. Somebody has moved in and they're doing a lot of digging. This reminds me of badger holes that we used to have as a kid in southern Minnesota, but I'm not sure we have badgers around here. Now, we do have a family of foxes. I'm not sure if they do this much digging. None of these holes were here in July when we did first crop. So this has all just happened in, I don't know, the last few weeks. We've never seen a badger on this farm. In fact, the DNR, Minnesota DNR, says badgers don't even live this far into the Northeast. So I've set up a trail cam next to the den. There's a dig here and a dig there and a dig there along the edge of the field. We'll see who the trail cam gets. Well, that didn't take long. Almost immediately, a photograph of a big fat old badger. So that confirms my worst fear. We have a badger infestation. Now I've got to figure out what I'm going to do about it. These holes are big enough that you could actually drop an axle or break an axle if you dropped a wheel of the tedder or the hay rake into these holes. So I'm looking for ideas if anybody knows a good way to make badgers move on, I'm all ears. In the meantime, we've got a lot to think about with the cows. It's late in fall. We've got to get shots done. We've got to get preg checks done, and then the second round of shots done. All that before it gets too cold. We'll be back working on all that in the upcoming weeks. We'll see you then.